So today you're going to see a slightly different colored slide deck, and you're going to get one of these. This is what, other people are going to show up because I heard that a couple people want to come to this class as well. Hello, hello. Are you able to stick around after class for a couple minutes? Ooh, I sound like a teacher. Sound like a teacher. That's awesome.
Appreciate
You're not in trouble. No.
That would be
I might be in trouble.
No, that would be so good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. So as I was saying, I'm getting feedback. Is that me? Okay. What we're doing today is we're going to go through doing an audit. I'm going to show you the end products that we end up giving our clients, and then we're going to go through a section of that. And so this slide deck looks a little different. You might not notice from our regular teaching slide deck. And this one is the one we use for our clients. So you're all going to have, you can get a copy of this to use for yourself if you want, if you're going to do audits for people. So I'm just going to run quickly through it. And you'll notice in here, there's also some links to the audits that you can do. So we're only doing a few of them today, and then we're going to do a few more next week. So this is the slide deck you would give your clients. We tell the client what audits we do. So this is for SEO. So we do a Screaming Frog audit, a content audit, a GMB. We use GMB everywhere, and we do other audits. And our process is these are your audits. So your on-page technical audit with Screaming Frog, your mobile-friendly test you can do in your page speed insights. That's what we're going to do. And I just added the last two today, so you could have some fun just clicking on something and seeing. So if I click on it, it'll take me to the link, and I'll be able to put my URL in there and test my page speed insights. Usually page speed insights can be discouraging, just so you know, and they're not always accurate, especially on mobile. So don't take what you to heart. And then I also did the page speed insights. I did this just so we could have a little fun, so you can put your website in here. And if you notice, this is actually, I believe, Search Console, right? Is that right, Phelan?
No, yeah. It does have an API connection that goes to Search Console, and you will see it over time as they gather more data. But it's actually part of their developers section. That's why it says pagespeedinsights.web.dev. That's all their developer content. Anyway.
But it's easy to get to from in Search Console. I think it's that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So see, depressing, just so you know, but then better. Now, one of the reasons ours is said to be down is because we actually use a chat widget on our site. Anyway, that's neither here nor there for right now. It's the process. And we're going to do the above process. And then next week, we're going to do these audits. You already kind of saw an audit for local SEO on Tuesday. And the on-page and technical audit, that's what we're doing today. And so you will get this slide deck. So I'm going to put a copy link in the chat when we get started. And y'all can just copy this and you'll have everything else. So then what we do is our presentation to our clients is we create an audit. It looks like this. And we start with our key takeaways, our methodology, our insights, our action summary, right? And we go through the key findings. So you're going to be digging through things, right? Looking at things. That's your job. So this can be really fun. So as you build out your audit, you want to tell the client what you're doing. So we kind of let them know what we're doing. And then we give them some key takeaways. Like we make sure we ask their goals when we meet with them. And we record their goals and we try to match them to their strategy or speak in their language when talking about what they want to accomplish. Then, of course, it's always best to start with the positive things you find. So the positive things, we do some high level takeaways. So this is just what we dig into and find when we take our findings. So we'll talk to them about the technical findings and the website content and the local SEO stuff. And then we'll add extra findings like what we found, like, was their bounce rate high? Did they have too many analytics tags on their site? And then our methodology. Now, this is actually what we give to clients. So we give them our audits if they want to look at them. They don't really, right? So we go through all of these. Ones we're doing today are the first 3, but there's many audits you can do. And you can put your websites through some free tools online too, which will give you some information. Yeah. And so then we try to explain about keywords and search intent and all the things you learned and have been learning in the last, I don't know, 2 months, right? So we talk about how we determine keywords, because different SEOs determine how they find keywords differently. We use Google's tools, as you've seen and you will see, and we use mostly Google tools. And so we don't base our keywords on domain authority. Some people do. And then we go into trying to educate clients about the different things that are important. We'll delete some of these pages depending on what we're seeing. So we do have this to explain to the clients. So we explain what we do, and then we explain the next steps. So basically an audit defines the tasks you're going to do when you're doing the recurring tasks as an SEO. And so then we create a roadmap. So we get our graphic designer to create an image that says on page SEO first or technical SEO, and explain, we give what we're going to do. So that's basically what you're doing. You're doing a roadmap, and then you do an action summary where you talk about priorities and strategy. This is what our map looks like. So this one first was do technical website updates and restructure the content. There's a lot of thin content. Then focus on building content, and then focus on links, Google My Business Knowledge Panel, anything else we can do, right? Try to build the site up. And then we give them a report, which we put together with a measure setup, which you will learn how to do. And so at the end, and this is Data Studio, so we do teach how to connect things and how to pull in data. This is really fun, but this is an outcome, right? And you can make your report look any way you want because it's a block tool. Now, we do buy extra software to use extra things. However, the reporting is pretty good. You can go look at Search Console keywords and things like this. So this is one of the end products that we give to the client. So you get a slide deck, you get all your audits, and you get the next steps of what you can buy. We talk about pricing, we talk about recap, what we're going to do next, and we talk about setting up our next meeting and our implementation plan and what we might need from them, like a branding guide. That's the end product that goes with a meeting. You don't just send this to a client, you go through it all, and that is the beginning of an SEO audit. So today, Phelan is going to take you through doing the audit. So I'm going to go and get you a link to copy if you want to follow along and try to do the things at the same time or try to do them after. You do need to try to do this, because if you do it, you'll get better at it. And it can be really fun. Did I say really fun? I said, okay, Phelan, you take over. I'm going to go get the link.
I already have the link in the chat.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So yeah, that you'll click it, it'll request you make a copy right away. And then it's totally yours to copy and make a million of them or however you so see fit.
And
you were muted.
I know. And so inside the audit, there's going to be extra links, right? So the link you're going to get is the Screaming Frog one. And I can tell you when you go to slide 3.
Wait, you're talking about the slide deck? I was sending the Screaming Frog.
Oh, what? Okay.
The template.
I had it in the slide deck.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm going to give the slide deck too. Because why not?
I thought you were going to follow along with that part. That's what we're doing.
Well, the whole slide deck. So let me get the link to that too.
Let us dive in. So we are going to use a tool called Screaming Frog, and I cannot zoom in because it's a desktop app. It's not on a browser, so I can't zoom into this part. So I'll try to do as well as I can for describing exactly where to look and where to go with this.
Okay, so you have to download Screaming Frog and you have to open it.
Yes, and they do have a paid tier. You don't need to get started with that. Everything that we're going to cover today is all on the free tier, and you don't need to worry about it. We have the license, but that's because we use a couple of like extra features that most people don't need. So you should be good to go with just the regular out of the box Screaming Frog. And so the thing you're going to need is we're going to need a URL that we're going to go crawl. And so what I'm going to do is, in this case, there's the template. Here's the one we're doing, Caulfield engraving. And so with that, we're going to need their URL. And then we're going to go back over to Screaming Frog, and at the very top, in where it says enter URL to Spider, just paste in Caulfield engraving, in this case, for whichever website you want to scan. I'm really hoping this is going to be super smooth and not like the one that we had yesterday.
So you hit the start button right beside it.
Yeah, and then you'll see the little progress bar on the right-hand side of it. It'll let you know how many more URLs it has to cover. Now, what we see here is that in the right-hand side is where we're going to navigate through each little section that's in here. And this will also help us filter. And in this case, what we want to do is, you can see that there's different types of, under content type, there's different types. So we've got images, we've got PDFs, we've got the JavaScript, we've got the CSS, because they're all technically URLs that load in this information. And so the thing that we want to do is filter out everything except the HTMLs. The easiest way to do that is on the right-hand side to where we've selected all. Just click on HTML just below it, and this will give us only the URLs that are on this website. So it makes it nice and easy for us that this is exactly all the URLs that they could find when they scan the website. And then from here, you're just going to click export. That's just above the menu and just below where you put in the URL. And when you click export, it's going to generate a CSV, so comma separated values. So it's a spreadsheet. For all intents and purposes, that's how they all work, is that it's just a bunch of rows and columns with commas separating them. And in this case, I'm going to name it Caulfields underscore engraving underscore, and then I just leave the internal HTML. It lets me know what that it came from Screaming Frog. The other thing you're going to want to really be cautious of, because it really tripped me up the first time I downloaded it to my desktop, is you want to make sure that you know exactly where the file is going to go, because this is, again, a desktop. It doesn't tell you that on a browser where it's like, hey, you've downloaded this, do you want to go find it? They will just throw it into the wherever, and then you have to go find it. Then we're going to hit save. And then we are going to go back over to our Screaming Frog audit. And then what we are going to do is we're going to go to the second tab. And the second tab, it's called response codes. And it's very similar to the internal HTML. It's the same concept. And then what we do is on this page, you want to make sure that you've selected your mouse in the top, the A1, top right-hand corner. And then you're going to go File, and then you'll click from File, third one down, Import. and we are going to upload. That's the 5th option along the horizontal menu. And then we're going to select a file from the device. And again, we knew it was in desktops and we could see it. Caulfield's engraving, internal HTML, CSS. Hit enter. Now, this is the most important part to not breaking this sheet is when you import it, you are going to append to current sheet. And you will see why the append, because there's a bunch of extra stuff that's in the background here of conditional formatting that'll really make your life a lot easier. And you don't want to destroy that by just pasting it in. So you want to append to current sheet, hit import, and then it's going to automatically paste all this information in. And like I said, it already automatically will spot whether these ones are too long, whether they're either too long or too short, these are things that we want to identify right away.
The titles,
the descriptions, the meta descriptions, are they too long? Are they too short? So you are going to also see one other thing that you're going to want to set up is you're going to want to set up a filter, because you're going to want to be able to turn on and off certain things based on, in this case, I don't want these 31 redirects because they're just eating up space. They don't really, we know it's, oh, okay, they've redirected this page. Okay, but it's not really going to help me with figuring out the SEO stuff.
Phelan, do you want to
Yes.
explain 200, 301, what the codes mean?
Okay, so these are status codes. Basically, what these are little signals that the internet uses to have two servers talk to each other to know if something worked or didn't. And in this case, and so there's basically 5 types of response codes. You have your 100s, which you don't need to even think about. They're purely informational server communication. There's 200, which is a success. If you get a 200 response code back, that means everything works, no problems.
Yay.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's the good stuff, is the 200s. The 300s are different location. So you have a 301 that you can see here, and you can see the status is permanently moved. You can also set up a 302. So that means that tells Google that this is a temporary move, that I'm moving away from this page for the time being, and it's going to this different location. This is just a way to tell people going through the internet that, oh, this isn't where this is anymore. And then usually we'll have a go here, and then it'll just automatically send you in most cases. But that's what the 300s are. 400s are, they call them a client error, meaning that we did something wrong on our end in our request. You asked for a page that doesn't exist anymore. So you get a 404 page. That's a 400. You can also get 403s, meaning you needed to log in. Funny enough, 402 is actually one that never been used, but it was originally encoded, which means no, the money didn't go. So your payment failed. And it was when they thought they were actually going to have money online at the very start, and they couldn't get that to work. And then the last ones are 500 errors. So that is the server had an error. So you, as the browser, reached out to the server, and then they said, whoops. And so they say a 500. 500s are their mistake, and it means that they are probably scrambling to fix that issue right now. That's a very common one that you'll find. But yeah, so that's what it means. Basically, 400s and 500s, you want to get rid of those. You want to fix those, redirects, whatever, find why it's broken. Those are super important, and basically the lowest of low-hanging fruit that you want to fix right away, because Google hates 404s and 500. They just very much do not like it.
But we don't have, it's not an easy task to fix the 500 because it's a server error and they have to fix it.
Yes, and it depends on how that 500 error came up. There's lots of variations that it could be, but it's basically what I'm trying to get at is that if you're going to start somewhere, that is the first place to start. Is like that is your highest of priority to get that, figure out why this happened, and fixing it.
So if you saw a number of 401s in here, in your audit, you would put, okay, so there's a bunch of broken links. These are the first things we probably want to fix. So that would be top of your workflow. And you might need to explain why that's important. Yeah. And then what do we do next?
So the next thing I like to do, the reason why I don't have this set up out of the gate is it really screws things up with the append to sheet. But what I like to do is basically select all. Stupid thing. So select all that's in here. Then you're going to go up to data, the sixth one in the menu, the horizontal menu. And then under data, you're going to create a filter. So what this does is it now gives us the opportunity to filter out for specific, exclude certain things or include only certain things. And in our case, first thing I want to do, because it's taking up space, is I'm going to click on where it says status code. You click on the little icon that's now showed up because it's a filter. Click on this guy and you uncheck the 301. And so it'll let you know everything that's in there. And so I don't want the 301s because what we're analyzing, I want to see just the pages that are current and not the ones that have been redirected away from. And so now you can see we've got a lot cleaner information. I'm already seeing something that's stressing me out on this page. Pip, I think you see it as well.
No.
All the titles are
Oh
identical.
yeah, the 24s. Ooh, they're all, that's okay.
So to me, that is very much a low.
So what is that saying, Phelan? Saying the titles are too short, yes?
No, they're all the same, no matter the page.
Oh, I was just looking at the number. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something probably pretty important to fix.
Yeah, because that doesn't tell Google, because they do use the page title and the H1 to like identify, oh, this page is about terms and conditions, contacting this engraving company. Whereas if it always is just the company name, that doesn't tell Google enough information about what the hell am I supposed to do with this. Fortunately, though, for us, the meta description actually is unique. So at least some little part of it is unique. So that part is okay. But yeah, that's definitely first thing that comes to mind is this is one we're going to fix right away. This is probably set up by Yoast, and they probably just Yoast out of the box will do, you can do the page, the title that you called the page in the back end, and then also the name of the site. Very common setup. And it looks like I'm going to wager that they set it up as just the title of the
business
site.
name.
Yeah. So that definitely low hanging fruit, super easy there.
So then we go write that down, right? So you take notes wherever you want to put them in the slide deck under findings or on a notepad and then organize it whichever way you want.
Yeah, we generally use a Google Doc and then write out which each audit found. And then we kind of make it a priority list and then hone it down. And so generally we just use a Google Doc and just Screaming Frog audit. And then we say, hey, this is what we found.
And the fun thing is to do it as a team because of what you find. So I think if y'all want to pair up and try it together and look at what you find, that would be really fun. I know you're all really busy though. So anyway.
No excuses. It's all good. We have nice H1s here, except for the first one, because that is definitely too long to be an H1.
Yeah.
And
H2
so
other services. So yeah.
But this is an H2. So this is the next one down. So your H1s are your big headers, right? Do you want to let him in, please? Yeah, thank you. So this case, I'll try to zoom into the text here. So we've got ones like equine services or promotional products. That's actually pretty good for, I might say, promotional engraving products because they're all about engraving. But yeah, to me, this is getting a little more unique and a little easier for Google to identify what these pages are about. That's good. So it's got a good jumping off point. The H2s need some TLC. Again, we have repetitive other services, probably not useful enough for Google as the H2s. You probably want these formed as a question is the way Google's going these days, is that your H2. So your H1 is all about your promotional engraving products. And then your H2 will be something like, what kind of products can I get engraved for my promotions?
Phelan, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Can you hover across the top cells and make them all their size so we can see that it says meta keyword and meta keyword description and things like that? So click on all of them and just double click
Oh, it doesn't work.
and then just pick a cell. That should have done it.
It didn't. Where we are
Okay,
now.
so what you're saying, Phelan, what are you saying the most important things are? What I'm seeing here is, okay, we got titles, but what about, there was a column that said keyword and keyword length. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't understand. Can you stop for a second? Like max image preview. What are the things I should be paying attention to here? And what are the things that I shouldn't be paying attention to?
Yes. So the big one that you're going to want to be really focused on are going to be the page title. So status codes as the highest of priority. And then after that, you want to look at your page titles, your meta descriptions. The meta keywords used to be more important, but they're not as vital according to what I've been reading, because some apps don't even include a section for them, Shopify, but you could still rank. So that's definitely not as important as it used to be. It's more of WordPress situation. H1, super important. You want to make sure it's not too long, and you also want to make sure it's fairly unique. So that's going to be a really important one as well. But that's a second order compared to the meta descriptions. You definitely want to know if they're too long or if they're too short. And if they're too short or too long, they get highlighted as red automatically. So you don't have to stress about figuring out whether they are. These will tell you out of the box. The other one, there's one other one. So a lot of these ones, these are indexing ones that you shouldn't have to. I've never run into a situation where I had to be super concerned with how these interact with us.
So we don't pay attention to them really.
And nah, I pretty much scan, I go, oh, next one would be word count is something you're probably going to want to keep an eye on. So this, I'm going to have to update the template.
Why?
Because I want to have conditional formatting on this, that if it's under 300, I want to get it highlighted.
Yeah. And so remember 300 words or less is considered thin content, and thin content is bad.
Yeah.
Because then it's not, you're not showing you're an expert. You're not like you're not
giving Google enough. You're not giving Google enough to determine whether this page is important or not. Like you haven't, to them, they'd see it as anyone could get less than 300 words on a page. What is this like? How does this help me to answer someone's questions?
There's a lot of questions right now about AI writing. And so that's a very interesting topic as for a SEO debate one day. But Phelan, I see red in AH column now.
Yeah, I think that's actually supposed to be the HG column. I think it's actually supposed to be here, not here, which is why they're all red, because they're not even like 20 isn't even the highest number.
Okay, so use the
so and format. So in case you guys don't know, the conditional formatting is under format, the fifth one item in the menu, and then near the very bottom, you've got conditional formatting. Okay, so I have it from H. So
now if you use Excel sheets, you can use this with Excel too, I believe.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out where if you're going to change formatting or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we'll change it in the main sheet. So when you copy this, it will work. But so you're just trying to find out what's wrong. So now that tells us that 5 of the pages are thin content. And then we want to look at what pages are they? Is it the contact us page? Yes. So maybe
service pages, that's not good for us.
Yeah.
You're going to want those being cornerstone pieces. One other one that I've just spotted here that you should be concerned of is if this, I'm going to have to fix this one as well. So if this is greater than 3,
Crawl
that's
depth.
bad. So crawl depth is from someone getting to the home page. How many other pages does it have to take for them to get to that page? Each one is preferable. That's
So one click, right? So on the home page, they can, and then you could get to all the service pages, right?
yeah.
So it's 1
Exactly.
deep versus 2 deep or 3 deep. And we talked about this in the on-page SEO class and how a site is structured, because that does, if you have to click 5 things to get to something, the user experience is bad.
Well, and even more so, it's actually a little more cynical than that. It's actually because, or even they say that publicly, but Google really, they don't want to spend the effort to scan your page if it takes more than two pages to load. They want to be able to scan every page from the home page is what they're actually after. And that's why they prefer crawl depth to be 1, is because they don't have to, they can get everywhere from your home page.
Yeah. So here, so it's thin content is an issue.
Yeah.
And so on the contact us page, how would I build a contact us page out? I would tell the client what I think, which would be to keep people engaged. It could be hard to get 300 words on a page, or depending if you're using different themes, it might, it just might not work. Contact us page, not the end of the world. If you don't optimize it, some people try to, some people don't. Some people use the brand name as the keyword here.
Yeah, though you do have a good one that I've always appreciated with contact pages is that you get a good opportunity using like what to expect. So
I like that.
that gives you a really good moment to say, hey, right now we're so busy that it's going to actually take us a full week to get a hold of you, but don't worry, we will, as soon as we do, we'll reach out to you via email, and like letting everyone know what are the steps, what they should have prepared.
You feel more secure.
Yeah,
When you
well,
know, right?
it
When
takes
you're
away
like,
the
okay,
mystery.
I'm going to get an email. I should look in this inbox, blah, blah, blah. Little video. Different people like different things. Texting you might make that an option on the page, and then tracking that. But these are the types of things we're looking at with this audit, right? There's some cutting and pasting, and then some looking at the information. Now, Phelan, what would I see if there were other big glaring problems?
One of the big ones that I just spotted here, and it's only because it's not there that I've noticed it, is that there's no canonical link for this page, which is weird because all the other pages have canonical links.
What is a canonical link? And I know we've explained it before, but that's always a really hard topic. To be able to talk to a client about this or understand it and understand what to do if there's an issue. How would you explain this to the client?
How would I explain it to the client is so if they didn't have a canonical link and say there's anything that's like a variation that's happening.
What is a canonical link first?
I'm trying to get to that.
Okay, sorry. I was excited.
Patience. So the canonical link, basically if you have the page has any sort of variations that could happen. So my common go-to is always like an e-commerce website. So you'll have the t-shirt and then you'll select from that t-shirt different colors. So you'll see the URL actually change, that it's like you've picked variant white with the t-shirt. And so what it does is Google, instead of indexing all the different versions with the variants, you just say, no, this URL, like this page, is only this one and it's canonical, meaning
So the green shirt and red shirt and blue shirt that I'm clicking on, looking on an e-commerce site, even though the URL is changing, Google's only looking at that main page of the shirt.
Yeah, basically they're not looking at the men's cotton t-shirt that's green. They're just seeing the men's cotton t-shirt. They're just told, ignore all the variations, just focus on this one. The variations aren't important. And so it's just a way that you don't get smacked with duplicate content and stuff like that.
Okay, and so when I'm looking at the canonical LI, Because what canonical links, what am I supposed to be seeing, or what am I supposed to understand here?
If there's one missing, it makes me want to go see what the page is. And I've already seen this. It has a no index, no follow, meaning that this is not supposed to be found by Google. They're not supposed to be ranking it, which is probably why it has a no canonical link. So it would be bad if it had these index and follow and there was no canonical. So if it says no index and there's no canonical link, that's fine. If it has no canonical link and it does need to be indexed, that's a problem and you should fix that.
And you'll get to know this later on. So this is not.
Yeah, this is super. This is like little nitpicky stuff that I'm noticing as I'm going through this. But like the big ones, again, you're looking at your status codes, your page titles, your meta descriptions, your H1s. You can also.
You want to see if those keywords, if there's keyword specifics in the H1s, right? And if it's at the front, does it always specifically matter, or can you always do that? No, but for the most part, you want to do that, right?
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
in your H1 tag if you can.
Yeah, the H1 tag is like the primo. Google has said repeatedly, like what you put in your H1 tag matters. They do take it as whatever else. That's what that page is about. That's the main topic, is promotional engraving products. And so Google knows when someone's looking for those things, hey, this page is about that topic. And it might get more refined with a longer tail keyword, like where can I find promotional engraving products near me? And so then Google knows that this local business does it and they mention it on their website, so I should show them this website. Again, we want to make this foolproof.
Now, if on this I had, say, a website who had more than one H1 tag, what would I see? Now, before you answer that, let me just say, Google has come out and said that no, or John Mueller has come out and said, no, it doesn't matter if there's more than one H1 tag on a site. He doesn't always tell the truth, I think. And we're of the mind where it's still would be the most important. If you're going to let a user know their experience, the page has one topic, which is the title, which is the H1, and then subtopics of H2s or H3s.
Yes. And just building off of what you had said there, the thing that Google, they call that semantic HTML. And basically you use an H1 as your heading, and then you use an H2 as the lesser heading, and then it has a paragraph. And what you're doing is you're using the HTML to make it make sense that, of course, your H1 is going to be up here, the H2 is under it, then it's got a little description, then the next H2, and Google says that you should do that, but they also say, because there's people just use div for everything, especially web apps, that you can get just nothing but divs, and which are just like anything HTML, and that's not very descriptive.
If you go and look at your HTML now, remember you can right click on things, and then you can see in your HTML, you'll see like div, like a little arrowy bracket div, and it's just code stuff, and it just means that they're grouping things together.
Yeah, it's just a very generalizable, where that's more like a developer was writing it rather than someone thinking about it from an SEO perspective. And so Google says that they don't care whether you use semantic HTML, but they say it's very important. So take it with I lean towards you should probably be doing what they want, because you're making their job easier. And so they're usually pretty inclined to reward you for that.
Yeah.
So even if they say, oh, you can do this, a lot of times, like I would just follow with what their suggestion to do.
Humans are also inclined to group things, right? Like when we look at things, we don't read every word of a sentence. We skip over words. We read in chunks. Some people actually scroll to the very bottom to get to the outcome, and then to see if it's worth their time. So when we're paying attention to doing audits, we're looking back at all the other things we know about SEO that we've learned, and we're trying to put it into effect, being like, okay, so I need to focus a little bit on their content, right? Their on-page stuff, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to fix the major issues. And where would you go from here, Phelan?
So yeah, what I would do also, just going back to what you had asked about previous, is if you're getting duplicate H2s, because you're seeing that we've only got H1-1. If you do have duplicates, you go back to Screaming Frog, and then along the top, we've got all these tabs. Now, what I like is the internal will tell us all the page titles and descriptions all on one big sheet. But say I need to drill down a little further to figure out what's going on, you can go to specific to an H1. And then when you click on that, it's only going to have the pages with the H1s. And the other thing that you will notice is that we've been moved down on the right-hand side to where it says H1. And it says, we have 13 in total. And we also have one that's over 70 characters. Now, you can also see something where it says multiple. So you want to fix that right away. And you can also see that again with the H2s, where you've got duplicates, you've got missing, and then you also have multiple. So that's something to
Duplicates
bear in
aren't
mind.
good because it does nothing for the user, really.
Yeah, it's not descriptive enough, especially when we looked at what they were on the side. Where did you go? Yeah, these ones, other services is 9 of them. So that's not very useful and isn't going to give us much help there. Oh, we should fix that too, Pip.
Yes.
Right, that's the Safe Shields is a third business that this client has that sells safety shields. So probably it should be Caulfield Engravings.
Yeah.
Is what they should have there.
Now, so if I was new to doing this and I just opened Screaming Frog and I put my site in there, maybe I don't want to download the information and put it in the Google Sheet right away. So I could just click on all the tabs across the top and start to learn and see how it relates to the right-hand side vertical menu that you're scrolling through right now. See how things are kind of connected.
Yeah, and then you can also see, what's might be an issue that's coming up. Basically, if it's anything that is outside of the all, it's probably an error, and you probably want to look at what it is. So this one has duplicates for the page titles. We talked about that at the very start. And then also they're below character limit. So that's something to keep in mind. Another one that doesn't, it's a little harder because they're on random pages. Images is, you're going to want to have this tab and take a look at this one as well, because this one, what it'll do is it'll tell you how big they are. Are they over 100 kilobytes? And since this client's on WordPress, that matters. So we definitely want to fix that. We also want to fix the missing alt tag. Google is getting more and more diligent about making sure that you have alt tags on all your images. They're a great way to have keywords on them. Or also you can, if you're American, get sued under the Disabilities Act, and then you have to deal with that. It's just worth it to go and optimize the images as well. We talked about the canonical. So they spotted that we had 3 of them missing. I think that's the biggest ones that I've seen. Yeah, all these other ones we would get by, you'd have to get the paid tier to get a lot of these other ones that are lower down. And also you can connect your Google Analytics and your Search Console to this as well. And that can help with but again, that is part of the paid tier. It's not really as necessary. I didn't find it to be super illuminating, but it's definitely something that is to bear in mind if you get super comfortable and you want to take it to the next level with your Screaming Frog, is that you can pay for have the paid tier, and then you can get all these extra parts and connections to your analytics and Search Console, but definitely not necessary, especially for just getting started. Yeah, that is. Yeah, after this, and after Pip and I have written up all our notes on this, that's pretty much then we start synthesizing it and start making a hierarchy of what we need to fix.
Now it says that this is an on-page and technical SEO audit. Why are we calling it that?
Okay, so the on-page part, is definitely more straightforward. We were seeing H1s. We were looking at, so we're looking at H1s, we're looking at page titles, meta descriptions, the images, how big they are, whether they have alt tags. These are all things that you would do as part of your on page. So these are things fully in your control of what you can optimize on a website. Off page is like link building and outreach stuff, and is very hit or miss, and it's very time intensive. So it's definitely one that when you're getting started, on page is great because you are fully in control of how it works. And so why we also call it the technical one is that's the response codes. That is making the images lighter. That's something you're going to have to do with the technical team to figure out how to solve these problems. You're also going to have that canonical. That's something you're going to have to deal with a developer to do, or a plugin, someone who knows how to use the WordPress plugin. What's one of the other ones? They also, again, for the paid tier, you can do structured data, the schema, and you can scan the page and you can see if it's missing or whether they've done it. Yeah, if it's are there any errors? Are there multiples of the same? Is there, just generally, just even getting started with, did they even do structured data, which is not common. It's becoming way more common these days, but it is still a long ways away.
Yeah. So one of the things we would, okay, so now we've looked at all the things in the stuff. As much as we're going to look on here, Phelan and I would figure out what's important for, seems they have on-page SEO issues that they need to fix. So the thin content, the titles, meta descriptions, which means no keyword research has really been done. So that's going to be a focal point now, because you can see nobody spent any time there. If all the names of the pages are the name of the business, that gives us a huge spot to start. So we're going to write that down, and then we're going to go into our other audits. But this is the one you're going to do. Now on that plate, there are two other audits, which are the page speed insights and the mobile friendliness. Those are just fun because you might not be like me and get geeky with this, right? Like, it's a spreadsheet and there's some cutting and pasting, and yes, you can mess it up, but who cares? We're going to have fun and learn like this, because this makes our life easier. We're not looking through every page on the site being like, is this okay? Is this good?
And then on this on-page audit, we also have things that you can look at as a summary. So if you wanted to summarize this, we do this with just counting out how many we want to fix. That's generally a place that we start. You can also make a note about the page titles are all exactly the same. That might be a note that we would have here. Page titles.
And this would be something we attach to the slide deck. And if you notice in here, there is another page called additional technical checks. This is something you can go through. We can go through it together. This is, hey, have you done the mobile friendly test? So if you follow this, you will be able to do this. We also have a video at the top. If you see the instructions, it says follow written SOP or follow video SOP. SOP is what, Phelan?
Standard operating procedure.
So this is what we would do. We would go through all of them and check them off that we've done them, and then see if are there zombie pages, or have these tests been done? What are we seeing? So a zombie page, remember, does anybody remember what a zombie page is?
An example of a zombie page would be archive page, category or tag pages, especially in WordPress. A search results page, old press releases, boilerplate content, or thin content.
Yes, and boilerplate content is?
Samey duplicate content.
Yeah. So that is the first kind of group of audit we do to give us some information. Was that not fun?
Oh,
y'all want to run off and try it?
I just want to do this 2-3 more times with her other websites.
Yeah. Her stuff's messy, but the reality is we're going to sort it out for her. And she has 3 websites and doesn't know her password. So one of the major things that you're all going to run across is, Michelle, I'm sure you've run across this already. Passwords, access. That is where the struggle is real. But we help educate people on things like LastPass and how you manage that and give people the option to use us as their resource for this. So do you have any questions? Did you try it while we were talking?
No, I was making notes.
Okay. Were they? Do you have?
Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question about the archive page. Just because you mentioned that now zombie page, does that affect your SEO if it's an archive page?
So the archive page specifically is, it's a type of page that you'll get similar to a category or a tag page where it says like archives / some URL.
Yeah.
What can happen is similar to a category page, you won't have much control over them. So you want them to not show up because Google doesn't really know what to do with them. Because Google, but that's, again, that's one of those ones where this is where a canonical tag comes in. You can say all of those archive pages, just canonicalize them to the homepage or whatever, and then it'll just be ignored.
And are we going to show people how to canonicalize a page?
No.
Not today.
Not today. I don't think people like that. That would be very technical and very advanced to be doing that. That's not exactly something where we're just like, okay, guys, now we're just gonna.
Yeah. But you're gonna get there. It just.
Yeah. That's more of the web development.
It's you're getting places. Y'all are, now we'll give you expert. Okay. Now we're gonna give you a little bit of expert status. When you started, I think. What do you all think? Do you think that a lot more now than you did a couple weeks back? Yeah. Who wants to do an audit? Yeah.
So one other thing, just for those zombie pages and boiler pages, just so you guys know how to look for them, you are going to use the site operators. And that's how you. So in this case, what I did is I went to Google and I did site : and then I put in her domain. And I tried to make it as top level as I could, meaning no HTTP, nothing, just to see what Google will give me back. And the thing that we're looking at is, so I've got 20 results, which is very much to be expected. That's the right range, I believe, on the response codes.
Yeah, I think, 20 minus the no index page, right?
Yeah. I think, oh, actually, this is home.
So we're getting the
13
search engine results pages, which are.
So if you highlight all these in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a count. In this case, I have a count of 13. So that does mean that we've got some ones that we're not expecting to show up that are here. And we're looking for, okay, so we got the PDF. Remember how there was 2 PDFs? They spotted those. And so those, because of their own link. Oh, here we go. This is not good. We don't like this. It's an author page, very similar to your archives, your categories, or your tag pages. Here, zoom in for people as well. This is an author page. So this is definitely one we want to make a note of, is that there is an author page, and it probably should. In the explanation, we should also include or author. Again, you do have some control over the author pages, but they're just a pain, I'll be honest. If you can avoid them, then yeah, do that.
There was a reason they were around originally.
Yeah, they were for like bloggers, that you would be able to have that as like their page that has all the blog posts that they wrote on the website attributed to them. And that's how you have it. And technically, if you go to the users tab in the back end of the website, the user can add a description of themselves. And so that's how you would optimize one of those, is that you would make it so it's not thin content. It can just get a little bit annoying. So I find, and also you can't really stylize them. You'd have to have someone write it on PHP for that page, which it's just
It
not
doesn't
fun.
sound fun.
No, it's not. And it's, no one's happy doing that.
I don't know PHP, so there would be my problem. So that's when you would get a PHP developer would be a WordPress developer, right? Who knows PHP?
Pip,
Yo,
check this out. They changed the title on all of the pages here. Remember how
and
we
they
said that
tell you they changed it. Oh, that's neato, mosquito. Okay. Another thing to note, remember those little vertical 3 dots, the magic dots. This new thing is, so this is in beta, and this is about trustworthiness. So we know what happened in the last few years. We know there's a lot of content out there, right? And it's hard to know what to believe. So Google's starting to say where that content's from so that you can trust it, right? So about the source, it's giving us all the details. Look, if you look at the details here, you can see that one of the things is their awards. Is that right? Awards, plaques, and trophies. So, and Yably seems to be a site now that pulls Google and Facebook. That's that one that shows up. If you look at your knowledge panel on Google, you'll see Yably sometimes. Once in a while we have it, or we did. And it's like Yelp used to show up there. So fun things to know is Yelp and Google and Yelp are mad at one another. So Google no longer shows Yelp, but they show Yably. But it seems like Yably's got something going on if Google's indexing that, right?
Yeah. My guess is probably taking money from them, like Mozilla.
Oh.
Yeah. Firefox is entirely funded by Google.
Yeah, audits are fun, right? Like this, isn't it interesting to kind of dig around and start to understand what all this text is? Phelan taught me, I don't know if any of you are like this. When something doesn't work and you get a whole bunch of red text and code, and you're just like, oh my God, I don't even know. I don't understand that. And you just need to walk away. Well, if you actually slow down, and take a deep breath, maybe walk away for a minute and go back, slowly but surely you'll understand that, because you'll look and you'll be like, oh, there's a keyword. This means that means, and over time, the fear decreases and you're okay with things moving around on a page suddenly, menus in the wrong place.
Or that there's some text in red and then you don't just immediately close the page and just what you're trying to look for, especially with any time that something doesn't work, there's usually an error message. Hey, you forgot to include blah, 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 or cannot complete because this box is not checked. Usually
you just Google the error message, right?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
that's the goal to learning.
Yeah. That's how I learned how to do web development, was basically, it's like, oh, I got an error message, better Google that, and then just figure out from there. And then you just eventually makeshift your way through it, because it's a chaotic. Anything involving SEO and websites, it's chaotic. It's moving all the time. There's a million ways to do certain things.
And there's a huge education curve with clients. And they have their own business. So you have to make it simple enough that they can get it, know that you're an expert, know that they have nothing to worry about, and then you're going to take care of it. And to be honest, sometimes that it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes after 6 months, people are like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm changing direction. And you're like, it's working. And you might know it's working, or you might think it's working, but they're gone. They're done. And that's just,
or you need to remind them of things like, hey, we noticed that you got 6 calls in the last week. Did one of those turn into a sale? And they go, oh yeah, I got that big contract for that apartment building. And we go, yeah, how did you get that?
I'm not getting any leads. Hear it all the time. You're like, but so we had a client 2 days ago, and we talk maybe monthly, but he's one of the clients that he doesn't have time. So it's a phone call and they're random. And so we play phone tag for a bit, but then he got a hold of me. I'm like, yeah, like the ads are really, this was ads. Like the ads are really working. We're working on some SEO stuff. And he's, I'm not getting any leads. And I'm like, well, I'm looking at your report and you got 35 last month. So something's broken. So something's not going through to the email. We are not email developers. We can connect them, but if like things are broken and shifty shafty, we talked about it in last class, it can be a challenge. What did we do to solve the problem? We made the
the first things you do, like when you're testing a form, I didn't realize I'd be going into form validation time, but basically swap out the email with your own, fill out the form and see if it will come to yours. Try it with a different, like multiple emails that try to send it to a couple of different emails, see if they get the exact same response.
Yeah.
And then from there, we like to use Contact Form 7 because you can do this really awesome thing with a Google Sheets connection. And so it automatically will get stored on a Google Sheet.
No matter
Whoa, what is this?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
it's the best thing in the world. Best thing in the world.
Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like on the back end.
We've also been able to put contact details in collect and tag manager. So.
Yes, that one is going to become more prevalent, especially you, Michelle, because you're on Gravity Forms and they have a very easy way to do it with our tag manager. That one's going to be definitely the more advanced. I haven't like custom variables.
We've done it once.
We did. Oh, no, this is going to be a different one entirely. This is going to be way crazier.
Okay, so I haven't done it at all. But yeah, it's tag manager and custom code. So I'm okay with not.
Let me show you my screen and I'll show you what the plugin looks like for. Okay, so this gentleman has Contact Form 7, and then we've added the Contact Form 7 integration with Google Sheets. So it shows up here. Once you've set it up and it's connected, you just have to connect it to an account. They'll give you a little snippet of code. Then what you do is you go over to the contact form. And then when you go into it, there's going to be a new tab that shows up. And it's going to be the Google Sheets. And then this one's kind of annoying, but you have to fill out the name of the sheet, the ID, which is going to be.
Makes me want to cry with delight.
Yeah, there's some using Google Sheets. We've had a Google Sheet built for creating ads that we use to be able to do some strategy behind the scenes between negativing. It's a whole thing, but we use in Google Ads, you use negative keywords to not show up for things you don't want. And so we have a strategy of when it creates 3 different ad groups, broad, phrase, and exact, and they actually on the back end we make them not cross over with key. It's very interesting. It's a little in depth, so we don't actually teach that part, but we do share the Google Sheet with the ad words grouping. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly run through this of how to set this up for Kaya, because you seem very interested for this, which is, so you're going to need the title of this sheet that goes into the name of the sheet. The ID is this big long string that's between this /D and the /edit. So everything that's between those 2 slashes, you just copy this. That's the ID. Then the tab name, obviously I very imaginatively left it as the default, which is sheet 1, which you can spot in the bottom left-hand corner here. And then the final part that it needs is the sheet ID, which is this GID equals 0. So sheet 1 and then 0. And then to not screw it up like I did with the first couple of rounds, you're going to want to make sure you properly put in, copy each one of these names, and you put them in as that header on the column, because that's how how the Contact Form 7 finds where it's supposed to put it in. And so in this case, we got the name, email, location, contact, phone number, and your message. And yeah, so of course, this one is because the gentleman put a plus. So I'm just going to get rid of that plus.
I don't have a contact in my dashboard.
Yes, you're on Gravity Forms. You're going to find that Gravity Forms saves it into the back end in a thing called form entries. So Gravity Forms will do that for you out of the box. This one is more for Contact Form 7. The reason why I like this one is there's a lot of integrations that are free that people built with this, with all kinds of payment providers, creates a PDF, all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with this one. Gravity Forms is really good though. It's the big thing is like they have a big team of developers that work with it. So they have dozens of add-ons, and also other people build add-ons as well, but a lot of them are paid because they have a team that's building them versus someone in the community. So that's the big difference between the two. The definitely Gravity Forms is really good though.
So can Gravity Forms do the same thing?
Yes, but you need to pay for it. So this one will do it with a free extension that someone's built. And so it's basically Contact Form 7 is a very simple plugin, and he made it very simple on purpose so that people could just fill in whatever needs they had. I'm trying to think of a good example, like the Google Sheets. There's another one that I've seen, which was it generates their whole complete, like what they filled out in the form gets created into a PDF that's sent along with their form completion. So when they get the email, say it's an invoice, then they have an invoice saying you purchased this, and then they also have Stripe integrations and PayPal, and you can like have it so that they can pay for it. And a lot of these are free. Again, you have to hack them together. The Gravity Forms is like you pay for it, but it's a lot smoother of an experience where they have like documentation and things make sense, and you don't have to like go like, why did that not work?
Read forums.
Yeah, or brute force it through, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna do another $1 payment to see if this will work again.
That's one thing to note. Hey, if you're going to be an SEO, you get used to reading Google's rules, like those info pages, like to actually stomach reading through them, because you do learn things like, oh, I can't put the phone number in a Google business page post. I can't do that. It's wrong. It's bad. And you don't learn those things unless you sit through and force yourself to read some of this stuff, or you take a class and somebody tells you. But in 5 years, that might change. So
Yeah,
yes,
I've also just included a link to Google's, they call it Search Central, which is everything that's related with SEO from Google's perspective, like how to technically implement it and what they're expecting of all these things. And it goes from beginner all the way to super advanced, like advanced.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting. There's a page on there that says questions to ask when hiring an SEO. And one great thing is that it says, if anybody guarantees results, do not work with them. And I actually got an email yesterday that said guaranteed results. And I was like, these are going against Google's guidelines. That's all I wrote. But yeah, are you all excited to do the audit now? And okay, I know Kaya is excited about the contact form, but
Also the audit.
are you all okay? So next week we're going to do the content audit and touch on a couple of the other audits. So all these things are going to be in Kajabi and up